Hi, I'm Susan Rutledge, and in this video I'm going to show you how easy it is to create artwork using shapes and tools in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to be making this holly leaf and berry grouping plus the art brush that creates the back stem. So let's move to a blank document and get started. The first shape I'll use is the circle. I'll use the ellipse tool to create it. It's located behind the rectangle tool on the left toolbar. So I'm going to press down with my mouse. For the flyout menu, here's the ellipse tool. The keyboard shortcut is L. Now click on the artboard to open the ellipse dialog box and type in 2 inches for the width, tab down, type in 2 inches for the height, and say OK. Then I'm going to assign it a color. Any color besides the one I'm going to use for my leaf will work. So I'll click here on the color fill icon and just choose orange. Then I'm going to remove the stroke and get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V. Now I'm going to be making a copy and moving the copy all in one step. So with the circle selected, I'll go up to Object, down to Transform, over and down to Move. I'm going to type in 1.75 inches for the horizontal position, and for the vertical position I'll type in minus 0.5. Leave everything else the same and press copy. Then with the copy selected, I'll do the same thing. I'll go back up to Object, down to Transform, over and down to Move. I'll leave horizontal set at 1.75. For the vertical position, I'm going to remove my minus sign and press copy again. Now let's come back to the Move panel for just a minute because I want to explain to you the difference between putting positive values in for the horizontal and vertical moves and negative ones. When I use a positive value for the horizontal move, Illustrator is going to move the object that's selected on the artboard to the right. If I put a negative value in for the horizontal move, Illustrator will move that object to the left. With the vertical value, if I put a positive number in, Illustrator is going to move the object down that increment. And if I use a negative number for the vertical move, Illustrator is going to move the object up on the artboard. So that's the difference between using positive numbers and negative numbers when you're moving objects on the artboard. So now let's get back to the video. Then I'll select all 3 of the circles, come over to the Properties panel, and in the Pathfinder area, I'll click to unite them. Now I want to mirror this group of 3 circles, so I'll get the Reflect tool. It's located on the left toolbar behind the Rotate tool. So I'm going to press down with my mouse for the flyout menu, come over and down to choose the Reflect tool. The keyboard shortcut is O. And I have the tool active. I want to reflect the group from the bottom anchor. So I'm going to hover over this bottom anchor and then press down on the Option key and then press down with my mouse on that anchor, and that opens the Reflect dialog box. I'll leave horizontal checked and press copy, and that gives me a reflection that's connected right at the anchor where I clicked down with my mouse. Now I'll get the rectangle tool, keyboard shortcut M, and I'm going to drag a rectangle that covers all of my circles and then change the color of the rectangle to the color I'm going to use for my leaf. So I'll click on the color fill icon and I'm going to choose a medium green. Then click on the artboard to close out the swatches panel, and I want to move the rectangle behind the circle group. I can do that by coming up to Object, down to Arrange, over and down to Send to Back, or I can come over to the Layers panel, twirl the layer open, grab the rectangle layer and drag it underneath the circle layers in the list, which moves it behind the circle layers on the artboard. And then I could also have used the keyboard shortcut Shift Command left bracket. Next, I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and select both the circle groups and the rectangle, and then get the shape builder tool. It's on the left toolbar as well. This is what it looks like. I'll use the keyboard shortcut Shift M to activate it. Now with the shape builder tool active, if I hold down the option key, anything that I click on that's selected on the artboard is going to be removed. So I've removed the outer part of the rectangle, and I'm going to remove my circle groupings as well. Get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and that leaves me with a perfect holly leaf. Now I want to add some shading to my leaf, so I'm going to use the mesh tool. It's located on the left toolbar as well. Here's what it looks like. I'll use the keyboard shortcut U, and then I'm going to click right in the center of the leaf. This is going to give me a mesh point between a horizontal line and a vertical line. It's kind of hard to see on the green leaf, but it is there. And when I come over to the Properties panel and click on the Color Fill icon and choose a color, I'm going to choose this darker green. Illustrator is going to apply that color to the mesh point and give me a really nice shadow. Let me click on the artboard to close out the swatches panel and get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and just click here so that you can see how nice it actually looks. Now let's add a little drop shadow. I'll click on the leaf, come up to Effect, down to Stylize, and over to Drop Shadow. I'm going to leave the mode set on multiply and all of these settings the same and say OK. Then I'll get the rotate tool, keyboard shortcut R, click on the left anchor to move the rotate ball there. Begin to drag, and as I begin to drag, I'll press down on the option key, and that allows me to drag out a copy. I'll release my mouse, release the option key, and start to drag again. And as I start to drag, hold that option key down again and create one more copy. And then get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, select all three of my leaves and group them, keyboard shortcut Command G. Let's move these out of the way a little bit and get the ellipse tool, keyboard shortcut L, and click on the artboard to create the berry. I'll type in 0.5 inches for the width, tab down, type in 0.5 inches for the height, and say OK. Then come over and apply a bright red color to the berry. Get the mesh tool, keyboard shortcut U, and click in the top fourth of the berry. And I have this mesh point at that intersection where I'm going to come over and apply this violet color to. Close out the swatches panel, get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and click to deselect the berry. And I like the way that's looking, so I'm just going to make two more copies. I'll select the berry, hold the option key down, and drag to make a copy, and then drag to make one more copy. And I just want to make sure that they're overlapping. Then I'll select all three of them, group them, keyboard shortcut Command G, and come up to Effect and apply the same drop shadow I have on the leaves. Illustrator is going to remember the last effect I used, so I don't have to come all the way down to stylize. So I'm going to click on Apply Drop Shadow, and let's move this over and place it above the intersection on the leaves and group everything, keyboard shortcut Command G. Now this leaf grouping is too big for the design I'm going to be working on, so I'm going to move up to Object, down to Transform, over, and down to Scale. And I'm going to leave Uniform selected and 50%. And just say OK. I think that's going to be a better size for me. Now to create the art brush that I'm going to use for the background stem, I'll get the line segment tool, keyboard shortcut /, click on the artboard to open the line segment tool options dialog box and type in 5.75 inches. I'll leave the angle at 0 degrees and say OK. Then I'm going to change the weight of the stroke to 7 points. I'll change the color to the dark green that I used for the shadow of my leaves. And then I'm going to click on the word stroke and come down to the bottom area. This is the profile area, and click on this little pull down menu. And I'm going to click on the width profile 1. I just wanted a shape that would look a little more organic and have points at both ends. Now I'll click to close out that panel and come up to window, down to brushes, because after all we need the brushes panel if we're going to create an art brush. Now I have my line selected, so I'll come down to the bottom bar and click on the new brush icon and then choose art brush and say OK. Let's call this green stem. I'll leave the width at fixed. I'm going to leave stretch to fit stroke length checked. Make sure that my direction is horizontal, and I'll say OK. Illustrator has added the art brush to the brushes panel. I'll grab the brushes tab and drag and dock it next to the layers tab on the right side of my artboard, and then I can delete the line segment here. Now I'll get the paintbrush tool, keyboard shortcut B. It's also located on the left toolbar, and Illustrator has selected the most recent brush I created. Here's our green stem brush, and I'm simply going to draw out kind of a wavy little line, and then let's draw another one out here and another one here. Then I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, select my stems, go up to Effect, down to Stylize, and choose Drop Shadow. And I'm going to leave the mode set at multiply, but I'm going to drop the opacity down quite a bit. I'll type in 35% and say OK. Then I'll group these, keyboard shortcut Command G, then move to the layers panel and twirl the layers open. And I need to move my stems underneath my leaves because I want the leaves to show up on top of the stems. So I'll grab hold of the group, which is at the top of the list, and drag it to the bottom of the list, which means it moves to the back of the layers on the artboard. Now every new copy I make of the leaves is going to go to the top of the list, and it's going to be in front of the stems. And if you'd like more information on how layers work in Illustrator, I'm going to leave a link to a tutorial at the end of this video, and I suggest that you check it out next. Now all that's left for me to do is create copies and place them around on my stems. I'll speed the video up so the process is a little faster, and what I'm doing is holding the Option key down and just dragging one copy after another. Now, I don't want the leaves all facing the same direction, so with my mouse I can grab hold of one of the corner anchors and just move it around to rotate them in different directions. Another way I'm changing the appearance of the leaves is by resizing them. And what I'm doing is holding the Shift key down and then dragging from one of the corners of the bounding box, and that way Illustrator is rescaling the leaves without changing their shape. And if for some reason your bounding boxes have gotten turned off, then use the keyboard shortcut Shift Command B to turn them back on. Now I'm going to ungroup this leaf group with the keyboard shortcut Shift Command G, and then we'll select one leaf and delete it, and select the other two leaves and berries and group them, keyboard shortcut Command G, and I'll place some of these two leaf groupings around as well, resizing them and rotating them just like I did the larger group. There's not really a right or a wrong way to create this kind of a design. Just make sure that you have a variety of sizes and directions, and I think you're going to be pleased with the end result. And that is how easy it is to use shapes to create artwork in Adobe Illustrator. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed this video and learned some things about using shapes and some of the tools in Illustrator. And I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel now and click that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my future tutorials. And I'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.